Alright guys, now that you've watched the first video of Silhouette Studio 101, let's play with some tools. I'm going to show you a little bit of text work and why I like to use text and what it looks like to use it. So over here on your left hand side, we're going to click text and the text tool will pop up. Just like a Word doc or any type of program that you can put your text anywhere, you just click where you want it. And then I'm going to write out a word. Now it's gonna default to whatever you have your settings. My settings are set to a transparent inside. So let me move this over here so you can see. This is transparent and then the outside is red. So to change that, I'm just gonna come up here and change I have to be clicked on it. Two things: when you're clicked on the text like this and you see this guy and you see these scale marks, you cannot type and change the text. To type, you need to double click, and then that's when you can change your letters. So to get out of this mode, you just click off of it and then click back on it, and you'll be back in the transform like object mode basically. So what I want to do is I want to change the inside fill to peach, and I want to take away the stroke line. So I'm going to make this little guy with the little diamond in it, I know it's kind of hard to see, is the transparency. So I'm just going to make it transparent. If I wanted to make it a color, I could, like purple, and then I could change the outline of it and the size and do something like that. But for now, I just want to work with the actual inside. So let's scale this bigger so you guys can just see a little bit more. There's a lot of reasons why I fell in love with this studio, and text is mostly the reason. So I'm actually going to come over here on the right side to the extended text panel and open this up. And so this will help us work with our text faster and just a little bit more precise than up here on the top. You can do like bold and find your text up here like we talked about in the first video. But I really love to use this box right here because it just loads the fonts faster. I have a lot of fonts that you guys can have access to in the Auntie membership, but I also have other fonts as well in my program, and I want to have access to all of those as fast as I can. So right here is where we're going to go. So I'm just going to click a fun font, and just to show you guys like the different things you can do with font. So I'm going to change the font. I'm gonna talk about color fill, pattern fills in another video, but just so you guys can see how cool the font program is, I can drag and drop a fill into their fonts. And also I can, but I'll go into detail in the working with pattern fills in the other video. So this one is just about fonts. But the coolest thing I love about when you pattern fill a font is you can still work with this font as a font. I've never seen that in any other program, so I think that is so cool. And then another thing is you can ungroup this completely, and every letter will become its own letter. And then let me duplicate this just for a second so I can show you. I'm actually going to drag over this and regroup it with Command G. I know some people have asked about shortcuts, but you can right click group if it was already ungrouped, or you can go object up here, group. So there's a few different ways to group and ungroup. If you guys want a video on all the shortcuts, I'll definitely do that. So when it's ungrouped, each letter is its own thing, which I really love because we can resize these. I do also love that the kerning just is automatic on these. They're not, it's not like starting out spaced out and then you have to change everything like Cricut Access or Cricut Design Space. But another cool thing is literally can take a pattern now that they're ungrouped and just drop into individual letters. I don't think though once you ungroup it you can still work with it as a text. So let's just test something out. So once you ungroup it, it can no longer be used as a text. Let me group it back together, and yeah, it looks like once you ungroup it is an object. Now it is no longer a text. So just keep aware of that if you're interested in playing with each individual letter once it's ungrouped. it's no longer a text, which you could double type this out, and there's a lot of tricks and stuff you can do to make that faster. But for now, I just want you guys to get familiar with the typical text. Now what I want to do is I'm going to click this and I'm going to create an offset. I know offset is new in the Cricut world, but in the Silhouette world, it's been around for a really long time, and it's really cool. So I want to offset this, and then the offset panel will pop up right here. The offset will automatically default to whatever my default is up here, just like our text did, and I can change that. But over here, I can change it to an internal offset, and I can delete this entire offset if I want. And now I have an internal and an external, but if I just want the internal, I can delete this original one we did. So I know that was kind of confusing, so let me just show you really quick again. But this is a cool way to get, like that outer sketchy look. The internal offset is really cool, but you can also change the amount of offset. So let's just delete this and start over so I can show you. So let's offset. We're gonna click this. I'm gonna give it in a distance offset, and then I'm gonna change the distance to 3 inches and see what that looks like. That looks like big circles. We don't want that. So a 0.25, so like a 1/2 inch offset looks like this. And obviously it looks kind of overlappy and funky, but if we change this to a color and change the outside to transparent, then it's gonna look like this, and it's all one solid piece. Another cool thing is once you have this offset, it is now an object, and I can drag and drop patterns, and the offsets are 2 separate ones. So if the letters were spread apart even more, each individual letter would have its own offset if it didn't touch. So I can drag and drop this, and can I still work with this as text? Oh, we ungrouped it and grouped it. So it's just a really cool way to take text and play with sublimation. You can even offset off your offset again. If I want to do both, I'm going to hold shift and click both offsets, and then I'm going to go over here to offset, and I'll change this to another color, change the outside to transparency, and you can do all these really fun layers, and it just makes designing so fun. And if you have a ton of patterns, it can be really fun. So make sure you check out the playing with pattern fills, because as an Auntie member, we have tons of patterns that you're gonna go crazy with when you learn Silhouette Studio, because the patterns are so much fun. And then pair it with text, and you are pretty much a master graphic designer. All right, love you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.